Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this Madden NFL 23 offensive plays video breakdown, I'm going to take a look at how to improve your rushing attack / passing attack with this RPO, and I'm going to show you a play out of the single back wing tight. That's an RPO play. It's called Stretch Alert X Lookie. And now this particular play, I'm going to show you guys something that it really makes this play even that much more effective. And I think you guys will kind of, try to think outside the box as I'm doing this. As you can see on your screen, I've actually got an offensive lineman lined up at one of the tight end positions. So what we're going to show you is how to make this play very effective, not only in the running game, but it can also be, as I mentioned earlier, an effective pass play, because your opponent may try to stop this run play and he's going to end up allowing you for a big passing play. So we'll take a look at it on the other side. Here's the play diagram for the single back wing pair Stretch Alert Lookie. Now this particular play, it's already a stretch play, which I feel like the stretch plays are pretty nice as far as running the ball, and also it gives you the option to throw the slant route. So it's definitely a play that I really like, and I want to go ahead and show it to you. Now before I do that, let's take a look at the playbooks that you'll find this particular play out of, and as you can see, you'll find it out of several different playbooks found in the game. Here is what the single back wing pair Stretch Alert Lookie looks like once we hit the field. And with this particular play, as I mentioned, it is a stretch run play that also has the option to throw the slant route, which is this receiver who's lined up on the backside right there as you look at your screen. Now, what you're hoping for is that these tight ends here can provide enough blocking, because you got three tight ends lined up here as you look at it. Those three tight ends, you're hoping that they can hold up their blocks, allowing you to get to either to the outside or maybe split between one of the two tight ends and find an open area where you can run the ball. So let's go ahead and just run this, and we'll just take a look at it. And right there, I didn't get anything on that one. Now, with that said, a lot of times you still might find something there. That time the offensive line just actually broke through, or the defense was able to break through and, get to it. This one here, if you get to the outside, you might pick up some positive yardage right there where I picked up 5 yards. So it's definitely a play that you can run that's going to get you some positive yards, maybe not always. And then you always have this, as I mentioned earlier, you always have this backside slant right here you could throw to as well if you feel like you can get it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to enhance this by making a couple different subs along with where the tight ends are lined up at. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that right now. In a previous Madden Guides YouTube Shorts video breakdown, I talked about how to improve your rushing attack with this roster tip adjustment. And what that was, I put an offensive lineman at the tight end position. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of expand on that right now. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to go into the substitutions here. But first, I want to go into the depth chart. A lot of times I just simply like to do this to go ahead and auto reorder. You do not have to do that. That's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and go into that. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to stay in this formation here, the single back formation as you look at it, called the wing pair, and I'm going to go ahead and make some substitutions. Now, the first thing I'm going to do here is, a lot of times with the Cowboys, I like to put one of my better offensive linemen out there. Now, you cannot put a guard or a center out there at the tight end position, but you can put a tackle. So I'm going to sub out Smith here and put Peters there for him. And then I'm going to go ahead and move this guy right here, which is Smith, which is one of my better offensive linemen. I'm going to go ahead and move him to the tight end 3 position as you look at your screen right there. So if I zoom in on this, you can kind of see a little bit more clearly that now if you look at it, I've got him lined up here at the tight end 3 position as you're looking at your screen. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and do this as well. We could go ahead and bring another offensive lineman in at the tight end 2 position. Now, I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. Now, that's really up to you, but I'm going to go ahead and bring another guy in just for the heck of it. And the other thing I'm going to do is with the Cowboys, with Pollard out there versus having Elliott, because Pollard's a little faster than Elliott, especially on these outside run plays, I'd rather have him there. So for me, I'm going to have Pollard on my outside run plays. And a lot of times I'd have Elliott for my inside run plays, which is what the Cowboys do anyway. So, but at any rate, that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the halfback sub. So what I want to do is I want to go back into this play here, which again is that single back wing pair Stretch Alert Lookie. I'm going to go ahead and call that. Now on the defensive side of things, I want you guys to kind of pay attention to what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and put this on base alignment. I realize a lot of players use base alignment. We'll talk about having base alignment on and off. But for now, let's go with base alignment. And the first defense I want to talk about that we're going to run this against is a 3-4 under pinch buck zero, which is a cover zero defense, which is something they might run against this particular offensive formation, seeing that you've got you've got three tight ends lined up, so you got 13 personnel. So that's a pretty good chance that they're going to run something like this to try to defend this. So let's go ahead and run this. Now, because this is base align, I'm going to go ahead and call press coverage. And one of the things you're going to notice right off the bat with this particular defense is that this corner is lined up out here in base align. Now, I want you guys to watch something as I go ahead and move the tight end to the outside, which in this case, now, remember, this is a tight end 3, but now he is an offensive lineman. So I'm going to go ahead and move him out there. So now he's going to line up right over in front of that corner as you look at it. Now, the cool thing about this, if you were to have a tight end lined up out there, a lot of times that corner may not get blocked all that well. He may be able to shut off the block and get to the running back. But by having an offensive lineman lined up out there, this is going to cause a lot of havoc. And we're going to go ahead and run this, and I'll show you what will happen with this. So right there, we get that nice block right there, and then we're allowed to get to the outside and pick up some positive yardage. And the other thing that'll happen on occasion with this is, once that happens, sometimes this offensive lineman will get up and he'll go and make another block, rather be on a linebacker. Maybe he'll go up here and possibly block this safety up here, depending on how things shape up. So let's go ahead and run this one more time here and take a look at it. See right there? And we just get to the outside there. So you're almost always going to get a pancake block by having that offensive lineman lined up there on the outside, matched up against that corner. There's no way that corner is going to be able to try to shut off that and get past him and go after the running back. So you're almost always going to get this by doing what I'm doing right here. So that's the opportunity that I wanted to show right there. And you got a big chance for a big play, such as what you're seeing on your screen right there. So that's pretty nice. Now let's go back here and look at this in the instant replay. Now that time I didn't get the pancake block, but Smith was able to, as you look at this, he was able to turn him to the inside. As you look at it right there and drive him to the inside, which again is going to allow me to get to the outside. So that's what I wanted to show right there. That's what makes this pretty effective right there. He may not pancake him, but regardless, he's not going to allow that guy to get off the line of scrimmage and get to the running back. So that's something else you can do. Now, you notice there with that, I had that other offensive lineman line at the tight end 2 position. Let's go back in here. Now, the thing about that, if you decide to go this route, then you're hoping that this offensive lineman right here can also make a block. So kind of just watch for that. You may or may not want to put him there. There, you got a key block right there for me, which is nice. But that's really up to you as far as, let's go ahead and take a look at this by zooming in just a little bit more with this. You can see right here as you look at it that this offensive lineman now, this is the one that I subbed in at that tight end 2 position, is making a nice block. So that's something else you can look at if you want, but that's really up to you on that. I just want to point that out to you. Now, if you do that, I know what you guys are thinking, Cobra. Now, what if I do that? Now I've only got really just that one receiver that I really can throw to besides the tight end to the inside. So let me go talk about that here in a second. Let's go back into this play and I'll talk a little bit more about what I mean on that. So as you look right here, we really only have 3 options at this point that we can really throw to if we were to audible out of this particular play. But let's go ahead and run this as is and run this with this. But this time I'm going to go ahead and look to throw to Lamb on the slant, because I know I can get this a lot of times too. So I can get that a lot of times. I know I'm going to get that against a slant route. With the slant route against man coverage, it's almost always going to be open, especially if you got an elite receiver. Not that Lamb's an elite receiver, but he's pretty good. So you can go ahead and move your guy out here, and maybe, you know, you're reading this guy right here. You're going to read this guy anyways. If you see a blitz coming off the edge and he's not dropping back, then you're probably, you know, if you want to make that throw to the slant, you can as well, such as what I'm showing here. So you can make this right there and complete that pretty regular against this type of coverage. So just keep that in mind. Now I want to show you something else that's really cool. So let's go back in here and go ahead and call press man coverage and go ahead and motion this guy out. What if your opponent starts seeing this and he sees right here as you look at your screen that you've got 2 offensive linemen, you got one lined up on the outside and you got another one lined up there, and he's thinking, man, he's going to run the ball. I mean, he's been running the ball on me quite effectively from this particular formation. What if I go ahead and, I'm talking about the guy on the side of the defensive side of things, he decides to go ahead and click run right. So he goes ahead and decides that he's going to do this run right thing and guess the play and assuming that you're going to run to the right. So watch what happens here. Now I want you guys to pay attention to some stuff here going on here. I want you guys to kind of pay attention to this guy here, this guy here, this guy, all these guys over here on this side, on this left side as you look at your screen. If you see these guys coming in, man, that's all you got to do. You just got to light it up and throw that ball real quick. And there's an opportunity there, if you throw the ball right, that you might really get a touchdown out of this whole deal. Let's go ahead and do the same thing again here. Again, we'll go ahead and call run right, and then we'll go ahead and run this. So again, you're just watching all those guys, and you're just, well, that time I didn't get it off, but most of the time I can get it off fast enough where I'm not going to get sacked. Let's go ahead and run it one more time here as you watch this. And go run right again. So same thing here. So if you watch this, watch what happens here. If you get this ball off fast enough, you got a chance to take it all the way to the house, such as what I just did there. So that's what I'm trying to show here, is that you can start playing that cat and mouse game with them, because they almost have to commit to you. When you go ahead and motion this guy out and you start running the ball against them, and you're starting to do it pretty darn effectively, they're going to go ahead and do this run right. So you motion this guy out, they see this, you ran the stretch play a couple times, and all of a sudden they're deciding, I got to stop this run play somehow. So they're going to go ahead and throw everybody in the kitchen sink to come after you, and then you end up going all the way into the house for a nice score. So that's just one example of something you can do to make this play pretty darn effective. Now, the other thing is, let's go ahead and do the same thing again. Let's go ahead and do the run outside or run right here. Now, you always have this option. You don't have to stay in this formation, or not formation. You got to stay in the formation, but you don't have to stay in this play. So you can go ahead and audible to another play, such as maybe this play called tight end attack. So let's go ahead and do that. So we got that on there, right? And they went ahead, and they don't know you're doing this. Remember that. And if you wanted to, you're not going to really use this tight end, or excuse me, this offensive lineman to go on a pass route, and you're not going to use this other one. So you could go something like this. Maybe you could do something like this, what I'm showing. So now you've got all this pass blocking going on right here. So as you look at it, with what I'm showing here, you still got these three guys going out. And remember, they're trying to stop the run. So they may go ahead and commit to that run right. And the next thing you know, again, you got another shot taking it all the way for a score. So that's really what I wanted to show you. Now let's go back in here again with this. Let's go back to this blitz again here that we've been running, and let's show one last thing. So say you audible out of this and back into the tight end attack, but they don't do the right. Okay, they don't do the run right to that side. Well, you still have an opportunity to go ahead and run this play even with these offensive linemen that I just have subbed in for the tight ends. You still have an opportunity possibly to find, someone else you can throw to. So right there, maybe we could hit that tight end, even though he was double covered. We have that option. So at any rate, I just want to point this out to you guys. There's a lot of things you can do to work off of this that's going to allow you to attack these man coverage, especially these cover zero defenses. Now let's get out of here for a second, because I want to talk about something else here, and I'll go ahead and talk about that here in just a sec. So far, I've been running the single back wing pair stretch alert Lookie against 𝗬𝗆𝗆𝗍. Now, what if your opponent was to go and turn that off and go to default here? So let's do that. And let's get back into our defensive play, which is this 3-4 under pinch buck 0. And again, we'll run the single back wing pair stretch alert Lookie. Now, I want you guys to watch some things that are going on here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and call press man coverage, and then I'm going to go ahead and send Smith. Remember, that's he's a tackle now lined up at the left end position. Now, as I send him out in motion, you were going to notice that you get these safeties actually go and shift over to the right. So this is going to tell you a couple different things. First off, it's going to tell you this. It's going to tell you that it's zero coverage. It's also going to tell you that base of line is turned off or not on, and your opponent's not using it. It's also going to tell you something else here as you look at it, and when you observe this, is that you now have these 4 players lined up here versus your 3 blockers. So the numbers don't match up on your side of things. So this run play is going to get blown up. If I go ahead and run this, it's probably not going to give me a lot of yardage. So now you got a couple different choices here. You can audible into another play from within this formation. Let's go ahead and do this. What you cannot do is audible into another formation. You can audible into another play within the formation, but you cannot audible into another formation. The reason for that is remember, I went ahead and subbed in those 2 offensive linemen, so I have 13 personnel. I do not have any other formation line, at least what I have right now, that allow me to do that. Now you can go and make some subs in some other formations that'll give you 13 personnel and do that. Now with that said, you still have this option though. You still have this receiver over here who's running that slant route. And the cool thing about this is, as you look at your screen here, you don't have any safety playing 1 high or 2 high, nothing up here. So there's an opportunity for a big play here, as long as you can get this ball off, when you can get it off and pick up some yards. Right there, I just picked up 5 yards, but there's always that opportunity if he's able to get off a clean release, then you might even be able to get him even a bigger play, possibly go in for a score. Now, I may not get it on this. I'm going to go ahead and run it one more time. I may not get that, but I just want to show that to you. That's an option right there, or you may get an incomplete pass. But you always have that option where you can run this and still pick up some positive yards. Just don't run the run play whenever you see they've got all this on that side. When they've got all these defenders lined up over here, then you need to get out of this play. You cannot run this run play to the right. You can run the pass part of it, of the RPO, but you cannot run the run part of it because you're not going to pick up some yardage with it. So I just want to point that out to you. Now, there's another big play right there we just picked up with that slant route. So at any rate, remember that because it's kind of important when you run this play, what I'm showing here. Now, I'm going to go talk about something else here. I'm going to go into a couple of other defensive plays from this particular formation. I want you guys to kind of watch and take a look at some of this other stuff that you'll see. All right, this time I'm going to run this play against a 3-4 under weak blitz 1, which is a cover 1 blitz defense. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll continue on with our single back weaving pair stretch alert Lookie. Now I want you guys to watch something with this one. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is a cover 1 defense. So you got one high safety lined up here. And then you also got the safety lined up over here, but he's down the box. Now we'll go ahead and motion Smith out to the outside, but you're going to notice that the safety now lines up across from him. Now, remember earlier I talked about against the pinch defense where they had 4 defenders lined up on that side of the field here, which didn't give us the numbers. In this case, they only got 3 versus our 3. So we have the numbers as far as, in my opinion, because we got 3 on 3. So as long as our blockers hold up, we should pick up some positive yards, even with the run play here. So let's go ahead and run it and just take a look at this. And we get to the outside here and we pick up some positive yardage right there. We pick up 7 yards. Now, again, you still have that option to run that slant route. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. This one gives you both options because as long as you got the numbers, you can either run it or pass it here. Let's just go ahead and pass it here and pick up some positive yards there. So he picked up 7 yards there. So you can still run the play as long as you got the numbers that match up for you on the, or favor you on the offensive side of things. You can go ahead and do that. Now, the other thing I want to show is one last thing here. I want to go into a zone defense. Let's go into a zone defense here. Let's go into this cover 4 quarters and run that. And again, let's go ahead and just do the same thing we've been doing. Let's go ahead and motion this guy to the outside. So as you look at it, you can see on the numbers that we actually really have some nice numbers here. We have this guy here and this guy here. That's it. So we have those 2 defenders, and I feel like we can run this play and have some success with it. Right there. See how that works out for us? We even got a nice pancake block. So we picked up some positive yardage with this. The other thing, again, is you watch this. I'm going to tell you something here, too, you want to watch for when you run this. You can run this the same thing. Now, this is against cover 4. You still want to read some of these defenders. This particular defender, you want to see if he's going to blitz. So if he blitzes, then this should give me kind of an indication you can still run the slant route. But now, if you're going to do this, you got to throw this really quick. You can't run it right there. I didn't throw it fast enough because that linebacker may shoot out to the left and still block you, even though, or not blocking, but still, even though you ran the play, he's still might be able to pick it off or something like that. So kind of watch this guy here. If he blitzes, then you're going to have to make this pretty quick when you make this throw. Let's go ahead and do it one more time. And see, you can do that right there and pick up some positive yardage. You got to be really quick with that. As soon as you see that guy blitz, bam, it's got to be instantaneous where you make that throw. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. The other thing is, let's go ahead and motion this guy back out. Again, what if they go back into this run right? Now, this is against a zone defense, so they do this run right. They see this. They're like, I got to find a way to stop this. Well, again, it's the same thing. The only bad thing about that is you got to be careful with this because I'm going to run this one more time. There's a chance that corner may pick this off. So you think you got it, and then all of a sudden it gets picked. Let me show you what I mean by that. So they go ahead and do this run right, and you go ahead and motion your guy out to this side of the field. Now, this is against zone, so keep in mind on this. And then you go ahead and make this throw, and bam, they pick it off. So you got to watch out for that. So I just want to point that out to you. There's a chance that you may have getting picked off. Even though they did the run right commit thing, there's a chance you still may get picked off. So guys, I hope that this is a something that'll give you, maybe make your head spin a little bit and kind of maybe start thinking outside the box. I know a lot of guys run a lot of the same stuff, the meta and all that. And, with me, I try to do some different things that maybe you guys haven't seen before. So hopefully this is something you guys can get into. And just keep in mind, this is just out of one formation when I'm showing this from. I'm showing this from the single back wing pair where I put some, offensive linemen in the tight end positions. Go through your playbook and try to, experiment in the lab and see what'll happen, see what you can do to, to improve this with some other formations that you like to run from, and you can definitely cause some havoc when you get some offensive linemen out there matched up against some of these corners and you're just pancaking them to death. It's going to frustrate your opponent on defense. So again, check that out. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching this video breakdown. If you like it, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the Madden Guides on Facebook, the Madden Guide we have on Twitter, and the MaddenGuides.com site on the web. So just check all those out if you guys will. And again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video breakdown.